BLAPCHAT. Everything is black.
We can't even do it the right way. We miss it.
What's up?
Blap.
Blap. Welcome to
Blap is back.
Blap is back. Everything is blap, just like Josh's hoodie.
Facts.
Welcome to BLAPCHAT. I don't know what this is. 96. What is this, Josh? Episode 96. I feel like we've been in the 90s for like months.
Yep.
It's because we keep skipping weeks.
Yep.
You know, we got shit to do, man.
Yep.
Listen, guys. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, our listeners, whether you're on YouTube or iTunes or SoundCloud, whatever platform you're on. Really appreciate you for your continued support. Shout out to all the engineers out there, producers, artists, singers, creatives, for tuning in and, for doing your thing. And just people are on their grind right now. Mm-hmm. Everyone's on their grind, us included. So shout out to you guys. And, if you fuck with the podcast, make sure you subscribe. Welcome to all of our new listeners as well. Welcome to the crazy world of BLAPCHAT. Mm-hmm. I go by the name of Illmind. I'm here with my co-host.
It's your girl, Perfection.
You know what I'm saying? Me, Perfection here, holding it down. We have two other co-hosts that couldn't be here today, Atlas the Plug and Glam. Shout to them. We love them.
Facts.
They couldn't make it today. But man, it's March already. I feel like we have a lot.
Do you think time is flying?
Time's
or not?
flying. Time's flying to me. What about you? Are they?
Yeah.
It's flying.
I feel like last year went by pretty fast, and it's already March. So if you haven't gotten your shit together, get your shit together now. We're all doing that collectively anyway. Listen, this is a podcast revolving around creatives. I think at this point, if you've been listening, obviously you know what this is about. But we love to speak on things that revolve around being a creative in music, specifically, music producers, engineers, artists, singers, aspiring, anything in the music industry. This is what we love to talk about. So, if you haven't listened to the older episodes, definitely go back and listen. Yep. We've had some amazing guests, amazing discussions. Yep. I guarantee you that a large majority of the types of questions that you might have, we've already sort of touched on and answered on in past episodes. So definitely after you listen to this episode, go back, check out our older episodes, throwbacks, and it's all like what they say, evergreen content. It's not really dated, so you can listen to something from 2 years ago and find value in it. So shout out to you guys that are keeping up with the podcast episodes, and also shout out to our YouTube viewers as well. Yep. We we have a new episode every Friday that drops on SoundCloud and iTunes, and then the YouTube video version of the episode usually drops on Mondays, sometimes Tuesday, depending on how big that project is. But look out early on in the week on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/illmindvision, and make sure you subscribe if you prefer watching us as well. Also, you got to see Perfection stunt with the different hairstyles. Yeah, I got
She's
the
in
braid.
here. She's in here every week. Her and Glam. You guys are,
Glam too. I miss Glam.
Me and Atlas look the same, but you guys are the real stars of the show. So, it's worth going to YouTube. You got to watch the shit.
And shout out to Complex too. I don't know if we ever mentioned them putting us one of the top music podcasts. Top music podcasts up there with a lot of great ones. So shout out to Complex for that. Plug that shout out. I know you guys are getting tired of the air horn, but I don't care. Fuck you. Right.
Bruh. So anyway, there's a lot to talk about. I want to do some cool stuff today. Yesterday was sort of like a pretty big day that stressed a lot of people out.
It's going to go down in history.
It's going to go down in history. It might happen again, honestly.
Yeah.
But so anyway, long story short, Instagram was down for 24 hours. I think people lost their shit.
And Facebook too.
But, whatever. Who uses Facebook?
Exactly.
I don't think that's a myth. I think most people we don't fuck with Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good on Facebook. Anyway, Facebook and Instagram were down, and people were in a panic, in a shock,
in a frenzy,
in a fucking frenzy.
People were really going crazy.
Yeah, people were going nuts. I actually wrote a blog post
which you can read now on my website, illmindproducer.com, about, you know, my experience with Instagram going down yesterday. And I don't want to spiel on that whole thing. Just go to my website and read the blog post. But basically, you know, I sort of took that experience and like, I was thinking about how that affected me and how, you know, not having Instagram could affect, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of like creators that are in our position as well. You know, if you're like a producer and you rely on Instagram to sell beats or promote yourself or do branding, then, you know, it's this idea of like, how do you balance not having Instagram and also being creative, and how can you use Instagram to be a positive tool to help you grow your career and not become this like, you know, time wasting, you know, thing. And we're all guilty of that, swiping through our timelines.
Yeah.
So what's your like perfection? What's your personal experience, like not having Instagram, but also like, what are some things you notice about yourself about like using Instagram, like in positive and negative way?
I don't know. I wasn't as affected as other people were.
Just living life,
really
right?
find it a big deal. Like I was like, oh shit, like that's kind of whack. Because there were certain things I wanted to post and things like that, but I wasn't like pissed or anything. It was just annoying trying to like refresh the page, see if it was working to actually use it and post content and stuff. But I wasn't like mad. It was like whatever. I was using Twitter, and I think that's
a lot of people were on Twitter yesterday.
That's one thing that, you know, someone was saying is that like, if you're using these social media platforms to communicate or to push your brand, etc., things like that, you should be using all of them. So a lot of people that I follow on Instagram, I follow on Twitter and vice versa. So it's like I can continue the conversation if need be there and still use that for promotion. But also people that, you know, not too many people, but I would say that there are a lot of people that I communicate with on social media that I have their numbers anyway, you know. So I think that's a benefit too, is kind of like whatever relationships you have on one platform, try to capitalize on that in other ways. You know, because like if I needed to reach out to someone, let's say if it was super important, more than likely I have their email or their phone number. You know what I mean? So because that's the thing, it's like, if you don't have Instagram today, what happens? A lot of people are fucked.
A lot of people are fucked, especially if that's their number one source of income, you know, and you know, we all know what we're talking about here, but you know, certain business models heavily rely on Instagram, and if that disappeared, you know, they would be pretty much fucked, right? And you know, I sort of made this argument of like, being a music producer, just being creative in general, it actually helped to not have it, because what you notice is, what you notice is, oh, I don't have the luxury of like wasting time on Instagram, so let me just like put the phone away and make beats or write raps or whatever it is you do. And just that small 24-hour window of not having yesterday, it sort of like put me back in this place 10 years ago when I was, you know, in mom's basement with no Instagram, or even 12 years ago, and literally having no choice but to create music. You know what I mean? And I think that's important for us to just like, it was kind of like a reminder for producers where it's like, you know, you realize how much time you actually waste on Instagram, you know? So I basically just said, you know, use it as a learning lesson. And when you're in the studio creating or about to create, like put the phone on silent and just like put it in the other room. So you don't answer phone calls, no texts, no Instagram swiping. Do you find yourself doing that and like that being helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the studio yesterday.
Yeah, you were.
And I wasn't really bothered. Like I was working, you know, because I was just like you said, it's like, okay.
Whatever.
Like
cool.
what am I?
Put the phone down.
It's either now I'm just going to like be pissed for no reason about it, which is not stupid, because like you said, it's a source of income for a lot of people, right? So like if it's down, it's fucking with your money, right? But regardless of that, a lot of people are guilty of just swiping and like killing time on socials or being nosy or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's either you're going to be pissed about that and do nothing, or you're just going to be creative and do something, whatever that is.
Just be creative and do your thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why not? Anyway, I want to get some insight from some of our followers here. So I'm on Instagram Live right now. And I want to do a little Q&A. Come on, let's get in this frame together. I want to do a little Q&A today with you guys. Everyone say what's up to Perfection. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, we're on my Instagram Live. I want to do a little Q&A. So I want you guys on my Instagram right now to request to be in my live. And I'm going to choose you at random. And we're going to chop it up with you for a little bit. You're going to ask us some questions or a question. And we're going to do a little Q&A about really anything, you know. And I'm assuming, you know, most of you guys are creators, producers, engineers, artists, you know, stuff like that. So if you have a question about anything, we're going to try to answer that for you live. So I'm going to choose you at random. So make sure you request to be in our live. So our first person that we're going to request is Prod X Yeg. Sorry if I butchered that. But all right, let's go. Let's add you, man. I'm going to ask you what your name is because I don't know how to pronounce your name. So we're waiting on Prod X. Oh, hey.
Oh, shoot.
Hey, what's going on? Hold on 1 second. Can you hear us?
Hold on.
Okay, we can't hear you right now. Hold on 1 second, okay? We're going to plug you back in. Is that the one? Yeah, plug that back in. Okay, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
Good, good. Can you see us right now?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Let me
Is it your
let me see if I can switch my camera. Hold on 1 second.
For sure.
Oh, is it there? Let me see. Oh, there we go. Wait. There you go. Can you see us?
No, I cannot, but that's okay.
Okay, it should pop up at any moment here. What's your name?
My name is Kaylee.
Kaylee,
I'm
all right.
Edmonton
Well, thank you for joining us, Kaylee. Clap it up for Kaylee.
Hey.
Here. Hi.
Where you from?
I'm from Edmonton. I'm a newer producer, actually. I don't know a lot, but I'm actually trying to learn and pick up new things that most people don't know. And I want to start something new, and I want to bring out a good word to people and make sure that people know that they have backup, and that, like, I want to be a producer for people that don't have much, that need someone to bring them out. And, like, I just want to be there for people to help them. I don't want money out of this. I want to help people out of it. That's my goal.
I love that. What kind of drove you to want to do that?
Well, when I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of EDM, and I used to want to actually do EDM. Mm-hmm. And I actually met this guy, and he's now my boyfriend. He does music as well, and he's taught me a lot of it, actually. And he uploaded a few songs on Spotify and Apple Music. He's taught me a lot of it. I just kind of originated from that, and yeah.
Very cool. So what do you have any particular specific questions on kind of how you're trying to reach those goals, or anything, you know, producer related or anything?
Well, what would your guys' biggest thing to be as a producer? What would you put a good word out for people who are newer, trying to learn?
Got it. Do you have anything to start? You want to start that off, Perfection? I have a bunch of things, but
what do you mean as far as
hint.
like you putting out a good word for other people, or?
Or yeah, or just like everyone in general, or like even through my beats or my music, or like just some way.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a helpful hint.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is really just getting better at your craft.
Yep.
You know, is like learning as much as you can so you can become a better producer or musician and things like that. So that way you can learn more about your craft and get better at it and at your passion. And then you can also kind of like be able to pass that information on to other people that started like you know, that need more knowledge and more experience and things like that. So I think it's really kind of like just honing in and learning what you need to learn in order to get better. And then that can all around help you, you know, work with more musicians and help you work with more creatives and even like teach others.
Yeah, I think Perfection's right. It's a slow process. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, we lost our connection. Sorry, apologies. But just to kind of feed off of what Perfection was saying, I think that the aspiration to, inspire and help other people is amazing. I think that's a great headspace to have. That's a great place to be. But it's difficult to sort of influence and help people before you become established yourself. And so, I think keeping in mind that you really want to give back and help people is great, and always use that as a driving force. But if you want to be an influence, I hate using that word, but if you want to be influential to the producer community, or really any creative community, you really want to work to the point where you're established yourself and you've gained a little bit of credibility and notoriety yourself. And as a music producer, it starts with just making beats, like you said, Perfection, right? It's like, putting those long hours in the studio and not really being on social media too much, and really just getting better at your craft, right? And I think it starts with getting good at your craft, and then sort of creating awareness of your music slowly on social media and consistently every day. And then from there, you can sort of like maneuver, where you want to go next after that. But I think first things first, get in the studio, spend, we talk about this a lot on this podcast, spend, 12 months, 24 months, 78 months, or 72 months, just straight making music every day, and just get good at your craft first. And then from there, things will start to be uncovered. But it's a long process, and you really have to be, it's patience, it's persistence, it's passion, it's hard work, all the typical stuff that you guys all hear about. That's the correct answer, and there is really no other way. So, all right, it's working. Hey, what's going on?
What's up, bro?
What's up, dude?
What's going on?
Respect, yo.
What's your name? Where are you from?
We're from Queens, New York. My name is Ray, and this is my friend Chris.
Ray and Chris.
Ray and Chris. Yo, clap it up for Ray and Chris up in here, yo.
Respect.
What's up, guys? Queens in the building.
Not much. We're here in the studio just chopping it up, making some beats.
That's what's up. You guys both producers?
Yep. Yes, sir.
That's what's up. So cool, man. Do you have any questions for us?
Actually, I didn't even know you were gonna answer it, so I didn't have my question ready.
We're here.
My question is, how will you go about getting your beats like syncing opportunities? What is your opinion
Syncing
on
up
that?
into what?
Sync like television and stuff like that?
Yeah, licensing either for commercials or like internet or like YouTube. Like I know major YouTubers, like they need music for their programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming they don't want to pay the big bucks for like major artists. So are there opportunities for like up and coming producers to?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you guys listen to any of our other episodes on my podcast. Do you listen to my podcast? If you don't, it's fine.
Yeah, we do. I tune in.
I just recently started following you.
Cool. Yeah, so we actually have an entire episode on licensing. If you go back and listen to it, it'll be Keir Lehman, remember? I don't know if you guys watched this show on HBO called Insecure, but it's a pretty big show, and our special guest was the music supervisor of that show on HBO, and he basically broke down the entire process. But while you guys are here, basically in a nutshell, it really is a matter of knowing the music supervisor for a particular, movie or show that you're trying to pursue. So, and I'll get to the YouTube thing in a second, but if you're trying to license your beats to, let's say, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, right? Which is, on what network is that? Like VH1. Basically, the way that works is a show like Keeping Up with the Kardashians has a contract with a company that licenses music. Sometimes it's a company, sometimes it's a person that works on the show, a music supervisor, and their job is to collect all the music and the beats for the show. And so really at the end of the day, what it comes down to is trying to find out who the music supervisor is for a particular network or a show. And, you would have to either find their email or figure out how to get in contact with them and hit them up directly and pitch your music. Now, the other option is to
submit your music to a licensing company. It's a company that specializes in collecting beats and different songs from different people, and then their job is to be the middleman to pitch to certain shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and Insecure and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. And one example of a company would be this company called Jingle Punks, right? So if you look up Jingle Punks, I think it's jinglepunks.com. You know, that's just one of many examples of a website where you can sign up. I'm pretty sure it's free, or there's maybe a small fee attached to it. You basically sign up and you upload your beats to that website, and what they'll do is they'll choose the ones they like, and then they'll categorize them, and then they'll start pitching them to different people. And then if someone decides to purchase your beats, they'll take a small percentage, and you'll get paid and sign contracts and go from there. So a lot of times that's how a lot of people are getting, you know, licensing placements that way. But, you know, the most effective way is to try to create a relationship directly with the music supervisor.
Yeah, I agree. And how about, what's your opinion about dropping instrumental albums, you know, in search of those placements and stuff?
You can try that. You know, I'm not a huge fan of instrumental albums. I'm not really a fan of like being an independent producer, artist, and dropping an album, because, you know, if you're independent and let's say you have, you know, 500 followers on Instagram, no one's going to care about an album. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so what you want to do is you want to spread out the music over time and maximize I like to call it like, you know, online social media real estate, where, you know, if you have 15 tracks on an album, instead of dropping it on one day and then after a day no one cares about it anymore, you're basically dropping one song every day for 15 days straight, and now you have 15 days of people's attention that you can spread out over half a month, and that way is way more effective. So listen, and again, we talk a lot about this on my podcast as well, but you know, if I was an upcoming music producer and I wanted to put out instrumentals, I would literally drop an instrumental every day. I would sign up for TuneCore or DistroKid, and I would make a beat in the morning, and then I would upload it on every platform that same day. So YouTube, I would do, you know, SoundCloud. I would create a 1-minute snippet on Instagram. I would upload it on TuneCore and then have it up on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. Just have it widely available for people, and then just stay consistent. After a year, you have 300 plus beats out there floating. Someone's going to download them shits and want to do something. You know what I mean? So it's really about maximum exposure for your music, and now more than ever, it's a lot easier to do that. So I'm a fan of that as opposed to dropping an instrumental album.
Okay, I agree. One last question. How about okay, you have all your music, all your beats out there. So now how like, I don't have the resources to go and like find, you know, who's, you know, using my beat, who's like infringing on my, you know, my intellectual property. Like, how I know, like, when you go to distro, they go. Yeah.
So you can copyright your music. Number one, you know, if you go to copyright.gov and you copyright it all, that's fine. But listen, if you Google search how to do that, you'll find the answer. But I think the bigger issue is wanting to, and this is going to sound pretty crazy at first, but you want people to infringe. I'll tell you why. So you know, if you have 300 beats that are out there and they're on all these different social media platforms, you're gonna stress yourself out trying to find and hunt these people down and say, hey, you illegally used my beat that was on, you know, YouTube, and you made a song out of it and you put it out on Spotify and it got 100 plays. Like, you're infringing on my copyright. And if you do that 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, you're going to just stress yourself out and it won't make any sense. There's a dead end. You know, you're basically just like throwing cheese to a bunch of rats and then just hunting them down for no reason, right? So here's why that's a problem. It's because it's just a complete waste of time. So I think the proper way to approach it is you put 300 songs out in a year on all streaming platforms. You have 50 to 100 upcoming rappers that download your shit and put it out and not tell you. Out of those 100 people, 99 of those songs are going to be trash and won't do anything. But one of them might actually get let's say, for instance, one of them gets 1 million streams on Spotify. Now you have a song that's on its way to going viral. Even if it was illegally done, it's still viral. Mm-hmm. So at that point, that would be the proper time to pursue this artist and say, look, that's my beat. This song is going viral. I fuck with your shit. Something they're doing is right. So then instead of suing them, you could be like, yo, let's connect. Let's make more music. You know what I mean? You fuck with my beats. I fuck with your raps or singing or whatever it ends up being. And then from there, you have an opportunity to grow together. You know what I mean? So really, it's just testing the market and not really looking at it in this old school way of like, oh, if you use my shit illegally, I'm going to sue you. None of these people are making any real money anyway. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Does that make sense?
No, sure. Yeah.
Good. Yo, guys, man, thank you for calling in and good luck with everything.
You want to tell you congratulations on the Grammy, on your work and stuff. I was following you along with your success, man.
Thank you guys so much, man. That means a lot. Seriously, I appreciate that.
Keep listening to the podcast.
Yeah, listen to that episode with Keir Lehman.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up on the material, man.
No doubt. All right, guys.
Later.
One.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Yeah, good questions.
Those are really good questions.
What up?
Hey, Matty Beats, what's up? What's up, dude?
Chilling.
How are you? Where are you from? Where you from, dude?
My name's Matty Beats, by the way. I'm coming from outside of Philadelphia.
Dope.
And I was actually just at the Papa Mitru beat battle that Atlas hosted.
Nice.
I know you were there too.
Fire.
But and my question is kind of related to that. So like, in terms of networking, like obviously Atlas was there, you were there, Nick Paps, a lot of big people in the room, and like in terms of networking, how would I network with someone of like your caliber? But like, and the perspective is like, I wouldn't want to go up and like be like, yo, take my flash drive, like check it out. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity to like build a relationship. So like, how would I make that intro to network and make a connection, but not like annoy the person? If that makes sense.
Love that question. This is such a touchy subject. Perfection. What's your sort of insight on this? 'Cause
I think it's all really about for me personally, it's about just playing it cool and not becoming that annoying person that someone doesn't want to talk to by like just talking too much or saying the wrong thing. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what's the wrong or right thing to say, but I think one is, kind of just having real and normal conversations. Like, for instance, if you're gonna like tell someone that you appreciate their work, like that's great. I would say entry. Do that, but then also try to find other things that can keep that person's interest. Maybe talking about something that they like or something that you saw them do, and then kind of relate it to you. But it's all about reading people's energy too and figuring out right place at right time, kind of. Like if someone's running around the venue trying to make things happen, it's going to be hard to kind of lock them down. You know what I mean? And they're just going to give you like, hey, yeah, bye. It's always about like figuring out the energy of the person and also how to make the conversation more relatable, where it's not just like you praising them the whole time or, you kind of trying to sell yourself too much. It's just like normal human interaction.
Yeah, it's literally human interaction. And just to piggyback off of what Perfection said, because she pretty much hit it on the nose. But just from my past experience, being on the receiving end of that, but then also me also wanting to meet people as well, I think playing it cool is a great thing. Not being annoying, and then also being mindful of the type of environment that you're in, right? It's like if I wanted to meet a superstar at one of their shows and they jump off stage, they're probably really tired and they're probably not really trying to accept any demos or try to chop it up with strangers. They're probably thinking about just going backstage and like going to sleep or getting wasted or something, whatever they do backstage. But if you meet a superstar in a studio environment, it's a lot different because then their guard is a little bit down. They're in there to create. They know that if they run into you, you're in the studio for whatever reason, and they might be more open-minded to talk to you. So I think the first step is to be mindful of where you actually are and what that person is doing, what they just did, what they might be doing after that. And I really just try to assess, okay, is this sort of like the right moment for me to like go up to them and say hi? I think to take the example that you mentioned of like the beat battle where me and Atlas were there and Nick and all these guys, that would be a good environment. But also on top of that, I'm just sort of like the type of person that's like pretty approachable. So it wouldn't be fair for me to use myself as an example, because I'm for the people more than most people are. So like if you were to come up to me that night and gave me a demo, I would have happily taken it. I probably would have listened to it. If you asked me for a picture, I definitely would have taken it with you. So like that's just the kind of person I am. But you really have to judge and try to gauge who the person is and what type of person they are and if they're willing to do that. And a long time ago, I learned that this whole process of networking with people that you want to network with is really similar to dating.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're trying to meet a girl or a guy and you're trying to pursue them, I mean, what are some of those things that person might be turned on or turned off by? I mean, they'll definitely be turned off by being too persistent or sort of like forcing yourself in and saying, hey, give me your phone number. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of have to approach it very similar to if you were trying to like bag a number or try to like, you know what I mean? Like meet someone to that capacity. So it's those two things have very similar approaches, but you really have to look at it that way. So you have anything to add to that?
And I think also, like we're saying, it's all about where you're at, what the person's doing, analyze how their behavior is. Because I've definitely, I'm always around a ton of different people, artists, managers, A&Rs, executive, things like that. And I've even been in rooms to this day where I'm like, okay, how am I going to approach this person? Should I even approach this person? And then there's people where I would even have a conversation with them, but I wouldn't ask for their number or trade information just because I'm reading the energy. And I'm kind of like, all right, I can't get ahead of myself with this person just yet because I just met them. But I know for sure I'm going to make myself be seen by this person a second and third time, and then I'm going to build a more comfortable relationship to say, hey, here's my email. Because some people get turned off that way too, where it's like, I've had that where people are like, hey, give me your number. And I'm like, I don't even really know you. Like, I don't want to give you my number so you can call me whenever you want or, blow up my phone. Like, that makes it awkward and uncomfortable. So it's just all about, like, feeling the person's energy, even who they're around, who's around them. Because sometimes if it's, like, a popular artist or something like that, their entourage might push you away and it could get awkward. So it's all really about where you're at, the person's energy, and not really trying to sell yourself too much.
Yeah. And here's one helpful hint that I think could start off and break the ice. This is a nice little icebreaker that I like using.
Word.
People love to talk about themselves. They love it. So I think a great icebreaker, I know I do. I mean, we all do. A good icebreaker that's worked on me, and also an icebreaker that I've used to other people to break them down, or not break them down, but you know what I mean, is to direct the conversation towards being surrounded about the conversation being about them. So, I've had people come up to me and the first thing they would say is, yo, Ill, like, congratulations on that Grammy. Obviously that means a lot. That it's fresh in my mind. I appreciate it so much. And when people say that, like, I'm actually like, my guard is down. I'm like super open. I'm like, oh shit, like you follow me enough to know that I won a Grammy and you're congratulating me. And then what they'll do is they'll ask me a question like, oh, how did that feel? Or what does it feel like to like finally be a winner, blah, blah. And then I'll tell them happily, I'll be like, cause the conversation is about me. And so, I think that strategy could work on people because, people love to answer questions and talk about themselves. And so, if you were to go up to someone and you want to engage in conversation, try making the conversation about them first. You don't want to come up to someone and start talking about yourself like, yo, what's good? I'm a producer. I'm from here. I got this flash drive. I make hot beats. I've been making beats for 10 years. Like me. And then the other person that you're trying to talk to is like, I don't know this person. I don't give a shit. and you're just wasting your time, you know.
Truth. Damn, yeah, that was really helpful. Appreciate that. Really
so try that and let me know how that goes. Man.
Everybody loves you in the comments, apparently, Maddie.
Yeah, they room for you. Man. So on that note, shoot me a DM and send me some beats. I want to hear your beats.
Facts.
Word, definitely will. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Word.
Send me a Dropbox link to some of your shit.
Word.
All right, cool. I got you. I've seen the BLAPCHAT episode on that.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Peace.
Everybody's.
Can y'all hear me?
Fredo, we got you.
Yeah.
Three
Fredo's
strikes
here.
you out,
Let me get the air horn real quick. Air horns from Maddie Beats. Not Maddie Beats, a Phantom Beats.
What up?
What's up? Where you from, dude?
Virginia.
VA. What part?
I'm from Alexandria, so like maybe 10 minutes away from DC.
Okay, so you're not on the VA beach side.
No. That's Southern Virginia.
That's where all my peoples are, my Filipino peoples.
Yeah. There's a lot over there.
You know what I'm saying? I got cousins out there, probably. Anyway, what's up, man? You a producer?
Yeah, man. I'm actually in my studio right now.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Well, one of my questions that I have for you, so like the trouble that I have in this area is finding people who actually want to work. Now, not necessarily me looking for money, just honestly trying to work with people and really network. Would you suggest that, I continue trying to push that, or would you suggest networking outside of my area?
Both.
Yeah?
Do both. Get your feet wet in your area. Go to, I would start with going to every single event that you can find and pulling up. If it's an upcoming rap event or a producer event or any type of event where you know that you will meet people that are just like you. That's the whole point of finding people to collaborate with. And it's not so much about trying to find like the best rappers or the best singers or the best musicians. Really, you just want to find other people that are just like you. So you kind of have to kind of look in the mirror and say, okay, where would I go? What would I do? Is this event flyer that I saw an event for next Friday something that I would go to? And if it is, you should go, because then odds are there's probably other producers, other musicians that are also going to be at that event. And then when you're there, you're in closer proximity to other people that you want to meet. Now, that's sort of like a general approach, I would say, to like local pursuing, finding people locally, but there's a lot of stuff you can do online. A lot. I mean, there's so many rappers, so many singers.
Even one thing I would do, and this is just me like thinking out the box, I would kind of try to figure out the studios that are in my area or in closest cities, and I'll just start to see who's been there. Like check geotags, check to see who's tagged themselves like in the location, to see like, okay, this rapper consistently goes to the studio. Let me reach out to him and send him beats. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
it's funny that you said that, because I had so I was doing a podcast for a little bit, and someone that I had on there, he's pretty popular in this area in terms of like management, photography, and all that good stuff. And that's one of the things that she suggested to do, was what Perfection just said. Really just look at the studio, who's going there frequently. Another good tip that they gave was like, look for specific hashtags, like for example, like DMV artists, DMV rappers. And I guess this would be one cool thing to kind of throw out to everyone who was in the chat. Like because this is how it was positioned to me. If they have a link to like their music and their bio, that's a customer for sure. Like that's a guaranteed person that you can work with. You know what I mean? Not necessarily you're gonna make money off of them, but that's someone that's guaranteed that you're gonna be able to at least talk to and potentially work with as well.
Yeah.
And also just like, I think it is all about traveling. Every time I travel, I just get to connect with people I haven't seen in a long time, where I always meet new people, that are going to be helpful for me in the future. So you're not that far from DC. You're 10 minutes from DC. So I would even like try to see what studios are there and utilize those strategies. Maryland, you're probably like a 2 or 3 hour train stop from New York, even doing things like going to past the Auxes and going to Atlas's events at Drum, because a lot of people that do go to those events end up collaborating, and it's not just producers, it's artists and rappers, things like that. So it's just kind of really going to different events and seeing who in your area is actually working, which is doing things like checking who's in the studio and hashtags. The internet will help you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And
there's a few studios in this area, not too many. There's one big one, Midi East, and that's usually where I try to see if there's people willing to work there.
Yeah.
But even the smaller studios, even if those artists have a small budget now, maybe that's all they can afford right now, but that doesn't mean they're whack. Maybe they're a dope artist, but they just don't have the money, and maybe that's somebody you can build with.
Exactly. And you don't have to just do this locally either. I mean, if you can, I'll give you an example. You could save up money for a trip to LA. Go to LA for 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. Call up before you book your trip. Call up a record plant. It's a studio, one of the big studios in LA, and find out if you can book the B room or the C room or a small production room for a week in there. Record plant is filled with superstars. I mean, you have upcoming people, but you also have Pharrell is always in there. You have, you name them, they're in there working. You know what I mean? And so if you're in the B room making beats and you go into the kitchen to make some tea and then in comes Pharrell, that might be a great opportunity to at least chop it up. You know what I mean? And also these superstars that are in these studios, and Perfection, you know this because you run a studio in New York, their guard is down. If you run into them, I mean, their guard is not fully down, but you have more they're more open to maybe, having a conversation or accepting a demo, or maybe you're in the room and you're bumping your beats super loud and they pass by and they hear the shit and they're like, yo, who's in that room? So those are the types of like putting yourself in position to do that. And Perfection, you're right, like getting in these studios and shooting your shot and really frequenting these different studios is a great way to meet people.
And just one quick question, because I love going up to the city in New York. I go at least once a month just to go up there. Now, because I know Quad, I know Engine Room. What's some other studios that I could go up there to really network with people? Because I love going up there. So,
I mean, off top, Engine Room, Quad, Premiere, Blast Off. Blast Off is like a sleeper. They have an A room and a B room. Those are like New York isn't really the best place to go, to be honest with you, for the studio thing, because it's every year there's a studio is shutting down. The ones that are really successful are the ones that are still around, like the Engine Rooms and the Premieres. But honestly, LA would be the place to go, man. If you really want to like meet people and run into people and really get into the studio culture, LA is where it's at. It's a toss-up for me between LA and Atlanta.
What was the name of that studio in LA?
Record Plant.
Cool. Duly noted.
They're super booked, but if you can get a room, you book enough time in there, you're probably going to run into a superstar of some sort, because they're always in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
man. Cool.
I
appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Anybody who wants to work, Phantom Beats VA, everything, social media, email, and everything, hit me up.
Hit up Phantom Beats. If there's any rappers in here, Phantom already, he's willing to work.
Send me some melodies or something. Fire only.
Gotcha.
Send some fire.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying? You got to do that.
Absolutely.
All right, my dude.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all. Take care, all right?
You too, man. Peace. Get your requests in.
Yo.
Hey, what's up, David?
What's good?
How are you, man?
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. Where are you from?
From Washington State, bro.
Washington State. Clap for Washington State. I'll be out there in a couple months. What's up, man? What do you do?
Yep. Man, right now, I'm kind of between jobs, just working kind of random jobs and just continuing to make music, collaborating with a few artists from my area. I'm from like a small town out here in like southern central Washington.
Nice.
So I got a couple homies that I'm working with. This homie that I just met, he's pretty good at spitting. He could flow. So, he really liked my beats. I'm probably like, one of the only producers out here that, that's really like trying to do something.
Nice. Are you like recording? Are you recording him too, like engineering and stuff, or just giving him beats?
I'm not, man. Just beats, but like I'm producing him, so I'm like producing him for free or whatever. He's buying beats and I'm producing him.
Cool.
But we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do. Like, we might just get like the tracks and then go to the studio and get it mixed. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Because that's one thing that I'm trying to get better at is my engineering. And I appreciate everything you do, man. Like, you've helped me with a lot of things that, you know, a lot of ruts that I've had to get through.
Amazing.
And I really appreciate that. Yeah, bro. Big time.
Amazing. No, I appreciate it.
So, but I'm just like I'm a creator, you know what I mean? And so the mixing and stuff has been one of my downfalls and something that I've been trying to get better at. And just like copying just random plugins, like good plugins when I can, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What are you using? Are you in Pro Tools? Are you in Pro Tools?
No, I'm all MPC software.
Okay.
So I'm on that MPC Renaissance. Yeah, not too many people are using that nowadays, but it's just like how I do it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do everything handmade on the pads. Like, I'll program the scale on the pads, you know, like, and just go off and have fun.
Yeah. It's great. Are you tracking vocals in there too, or where are you learning the engineering part?
I'm not. Honestly, I don't think people do that, but it's definitely possible, but it's like you have to just edit it to like the start point, you know, like, I guess you don't necessarily have to do that, but
so
I don't think people do the vocals on there.
Are you trying to focus on the engineering? When you say engineering, are you talking about like mixing your beats better, or more like engineering vocals and artists and stuff like that?
Yeah, mixing my beats better for the meantime, you know what I mean?
Got it.
Like in high school and stuff, we had a group, and like we would record, and I had like just like an analog mixer that I recorded. Everything is super fucking raw, you know what I mean? And so like that's always been something that's been my downfall, man. Like mixing, especially vocals, you know what I mean?
What kind of beats do you love? Like what kind of producers? What sound are you going for?
Man, a little bit of everything. I just kind of go with what I feel, you know what I mean? Lately I've been making a lot of hip hop. Like the homie I'm producing for, he likes those hip hop and those West Coast beats, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'll make trap beats, bro. I'll chop up samples. Like I do a little bit of everything, but I feel like I still have my own sound, you know what I mean?
Got it.
Yeah, just hip hop, cuz I write and I rap also. You know, I haven't been like recording songs or anything right now, but I got a bunch that are ready to record and that I could do like one take, you know?
Got it. All right, so in terms of improving your mixes, you know, I don't have, there's no specific thing. Like I can't recommend you a plugin that'll just like fix all your problems. But from my experience, you know, I've gotten good at making my beats sound good just by fucking around and trying stuff, to be honest with you. Like I started off on a keyboard and I was tracking all my instruments into Pro Tools, and it kind of forced me to learn how to use Pro Tools. But you can make your stuff sound really good with the MPC as well. So what helped me was comparing my mixes to other people's mixes. So one song that I just thought that the mix was like amazing too was Mercy. Remember Good Music, Mercy, you know, the fucking everyone that on sample, it. That 808 on that track is crazy. And so what I did was I bought a subwoofer and I started comparing my beats to how that beat was mixed, and it really helped me, you know like kind of what level I wanted to get to in terms of my mixes. So a lot of it is trial and error. It's a lot of balancing. It's a lot of like trying stuff and fucking up and you know, fixing certain things that work and don't work. But then also on top of that, like if you want to get specific, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube that you can look up. Like so many. I mean, again, I've recommended the homie before, but there's a channel, there's a guy called Busyworks Beats. So if you go to YouTube, you'll go to Busyworks Beats. He has a bunch of tutorials on like mixing and stuff like that. Or I would go to Pensado's place. Are you familiar with them?
He's a legend.
Yeah,
Dave Pensado,
Dude, his hints and tips in there are insane. So it's a combination of just like research, trying stuff, and always the most important thing is compare your stuff to other people so that you can just work up to getting to their level. And really, it's honestly at the end of the day, it's like you're trusting your ears. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of it.
True.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do that with Dre.
Mm-hmm. Dude, a lot of people, without that Chronic album, or even like the more recent stuff, and if you if you compare your stuff against that music, then that'll help big time, man. Trust me. Yeah. So, again, nothing specific. If you want to get specific, though, when I master my music, I'm a fan of using this plugin called T-Rax. Specifically, it's a T-Rax. I think it's TS1. It's a T-Rax 1 master plugin, and the presets in there are really amazing. You just like load up the presets, whatever ones you like, and then you just like tweak them a little bit to your liking, but they sound great. Perfection, do you have any like cool plugins that you use like for your mixes? Or?
For mixing, I like using a Fab Filter Pro
Fab
EQ
Filter, yeah.
for EQing. I have a lot of I have the Waves bundle, so I use a couple of things in there, like de-esser. I have I have this, I forgot who it's from. It's called Sausage Fattener. So I use that on the 808 to give
I got that.
a little bit of more of a knock. That
Decimort's great too.
Yeah. I just play around with a lot of waves, and sometimes I even use the stocks. Some of the stocks work for, if I'm looking for a specific sound or I'm used to how that works. True. It just all depends on, what sound I'm using, what like kind of drum sample and what melodies. And where I'm taking the sound.
Yeah.
True. What about any? You guys have any favorite contact VSTs that you would recommend?
So many. There's one called The Attic. So it's just spelled The Attic. That's great.
I use that one a lot.
Yeah, Output. Mm-hmm. I mean, Output is like one of my favorite companies right now. All their shit is crazy. Movement, Exhale. I'm like a contact fucking fiend. I have so many.
Yeah. I heard you say that before.
But Output's great. I mean, I love Output. I love Omnisphere. I mean, just kind of have to dig. It's almost like digging for records, right? You're like digging into these different contact plugins and you're trying different things. But that's a good place to start. So.
Dope.
Yeah, man. But appreciate the call, man, and good luck with everything, man. With the artists you're working with and stuff like that.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
Later.
Thank you for tuning
thank
in,
you,
brother.
Man. Everything.
Yes, sir.
Everything. Yes. Shalom.
Take care, man. Peace. Hey.
Hi, my name is Mercedes, and I'm from Jamaica.
Hey, Mercedes from Jamaica. Air horn. How's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Okay, so my name is Mercedes, and I'm an upcoming artist in Jamaica. I'd appreciate if a lot of people could follow me. I hear you talking about music. I followed your page like 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And I seen you go live, so I'm interested to see. I was wondering if you had any beats or anything like that. But I'm listening to the discussion, and I hear you talking about the engineering part of music. I have a engineer right now. He can take my voice very good. He's very, very good at taking my voice. But when it comes to the mixing, he's using Pro Tools, and I'm hearing my breathing in my demos. I don't know.
You don't like how it sounds?
No, I don't like how it sounds, because as a producer, the producer is like also my manager, but the engineer, he is just basically doing his own thing. I have a song that's coming out called Good Girl Gone Bad. I wrote it, and he created the beat. So initially it was just like acoustics. He was using a lot of guitar, so it was having a real nice reggae vibe, and it was really good. And then he went ahead and he remixed it. And then he put, I was hearing like flutes and stuff like that on the rhythm. So when I got it again and I was supposed to like go at it, like rehearse, I was missing. You know what I mean by missing? You falling off.
Yep.
And he keeps adding, his rhythms are crammed with a lot of stuff. I wish he was on here so he could get some advice from you. But as an artist, I want you, I'd like you to tell me.
Like how to approach that situation?
Say that again.
Like how you would be able to approach that situation, right, to make it a better song, right? Have you told him yet that you feel like how you feel about it? Like, have you guys spoken about it?
A hypocritical situation. I have told him, and I said to him the other day, you need to take the flute sound, because remember, I'm Jamaican, so the music that I'm trying to put out there is reggae. It's a reggae dance hall vibe. I'm not trying to have the flute, because the flute kind of gives it like a European Celtic kind of sound.
Right.
You understand? Not going for that, but he's not taking no instructions.
I think maybe just play him some of the music that you like, that works for you, that you want to kind of go that direction.
Yeah.
And just tell him, like, this is what I envision for myself and the type of artist I'm trying to be. And these are the sounds that I rather use. I would say, though, is maybe, you know, just try to give it a try to see how it works with what he's doing, even if it's like one song, giving it a try, because you never know, you know, opening yourself up to new things might bring out a different sound in you. But I definitely
problem doing that. About since you're a producer, could you explain to me the process of what a split sheet is? Because they're trying to tell me that a split sheet is not necessarily a contractual agreement, but it's something that I get on his beat.
Yeah.
And we're gonna split something in percentages, but he's trying to tell me that, it can't be done 50-50. It has to be done a certain way where I'm only, as the artist, getting 20%, and he's gonna get.
Okay, let me stop you right there. So, a split sheet, in theory, is a contract. You're agreeing to who gets what percentage, right? And so, I'll give you a very quick version of what a typical split would be. So, if you're the artist, and there's no co-writers. You wrote the song, you performed the song, right? And then the producer produced the song. There's no musicians or co-producers. It's just him producing it. So this might be a little confusing, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible for you and all of our listeners. Problem. So when you create a song, you have to think of it as sort of like a 100% pie. And by default, that pie is split into two parts. You have the writer's side and you have the publishing side. So the first portion that you want to focus on is the writer side, which is 50% of the pie, half. So the writer's side is split into two portions. The first portion is the writer-performer, and the second portion is the writer-composer. Now, the writer-performer is you, the artist, the person who sings, the person who raps, the person who writes the actual lyrics. That's you. So,
but what happened? It was us now. Sorry to cut you, but let me tell you what happened. It's me. I started vibing to the rhythm. He got me on there. I wrote the first verse. The engineer started saying, let me help you. So he wrote the second verse. And then now the manager is the one that's doing the publishing. So it's three of us.
Okay, so I'm trying to. Who wrote the song? Just you and the engineer together?
Yeah.
Okay, so what needs to happen is, and this is perfect. I'm glad you brought that up. You and the engineer have to agree on how you want to split your portion. So do you feel like he deserves half of the song, or did he?
No, because
maybe he only wrote a little bit of it.
Fix it because the manager requested that I take some like derogatory stuff out of it that he had put in there. So I went back and had to refix it. So I'm thinking that, I don't think he should get the equal amount as me. But I just wanted to get a better understanding.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say you and the person who co-wrote this with you, let's say you agree to give this person 20% and you take 80%, right? So you're going to walk away with 80% of the entire portion of the writer performer portion. So that's 25% of the pie. So I'm Asian, but I'm not really good at math. At 20% of 25 is what? That's let's see, 5, 10, 25. What is that? 5%? Let's just say 5%.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up and give you the example, the co-writer would get 5% of the writer composer, and you would walk away with 20% of the writer. The writer performer. So So let's look at the pie. Let's go back to the pie. You have 20% of the writer performer. The co-writer has 5% of the writer performer, right? So then now let's look at the other portion of the writing portion, which is the writer composer. That's the producer. The producer gets 100% of the writer composer. So that producer is going to walk away with 25%, right? So now that half of the pie is done. Now we're looking at the publishing side of it. So basically the way the publishing side works is you get a duplicate of whatever you walked away with on the writing portion. So since you walked away with 20% of the writer performer, you walk away with 20% of the publishing. Mercedes, we're going to have to exit because you broke up. Okay. Shout out to Mercedes all the way from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Jamaica.
I still want to go to Jamaica.
Oh my God, it's beautiful out there. But anyway, just to wrap up that publishing side, I'm glad she brought that up, but I know it gets very confusing with the publishing, but you really want to envision the pie as two separate parts. There's a writing portion and the publishing portion, and the part that gets confusing is the writing portion involves every single person, not just the performer. It's the writer, the person who wrote the song, the person who performs the song, but it also involves the producer, the writer, composer. You have to kind of look at it as like sheet music. You know, you compose a piece of music on a sheet of paper, you write it down, you're a writer. So it's the writer, performer, and the writer, composer. And then the publishing portion is a duplicate of the percentage you walk away with on the writing side. So it's way easier to explain with an actual graph. But that would be sort of the general thing, but it's confusing, right? Mm-hmm. Guys, I would recommend a book called All You Need to Know About the Music Industry, written by Donald Passman. It's a very popular music industry book. And in that book, he basically breaks down entirely, you know, what publishing is and how to look at it. And it'll give you a more in-depth, insight on how that works. So I feel like the first set of questions we answered, like they knew the answers.
Yeah.
They just wanted like confirmation. Like, let me make sure I know what I'm doing and do it. So anyway, shout out to all you guys who joined us for the Q&A. I mean, I feel like a lot of this stuff we already talked about as well, but that's kind of becoming a thing where we're, reanalyzing certain questions and things that you guys have been asking for a long time. And obviously over time things change, but for the most part, it always comes down to just a very few things that are just very similar. So, all right, guys, here we go. We're about to do this blap or crap.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Check it out. This is the part of the show where we randomly choose your beat submissions. And we listen to a snippet, and if we like the beat, we give you a blap, and if we don't, we give you a crap, and we'll give you a little bit of constructive criticism if it's there. It's a good thing Atlas isn't here, because Atlas is very, very, he's a tough one. He's a tough one. Yep. He will critique you to the ends of the earth. We miss those guys, man. Yeah. But this is Blap or Crap. So listen, we're going to go through a couple submissions. If you want to submit your beat to this segment, all you have to do is send an MP3 attachment to info@blapchat.com, BLAPCHAT.com, and we will choose your beat, hopefully for a future episode at random, and we'll rock like that. So our first submission for today is by Anubis Finesse. Struggle pianos, storytelling. Let's go. Anubis Finesse. Want to start off?
Yeah, I'm gonna crap that.
All right, straight to it.
That honestly wasn't a terrible beat.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple things that I would change about it. Mainly, all of the melodies and the sounds that he chose.
Mainly all of the melodies. I agree. Go ahead. I would change a few things.
What, just,
mainly every single melody you have in there.
No, just like the, I don't know what sound that was.
It was like dying. A little, yeah, it was like.
No, like the
boom, 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 boom. Okay,
like,
the low one.
I don't even know like what kind of sound that was. If that was like a bass that he tried to.
I don't know what it was.
Pitch up or some type of synth that was filtered, but I think that was a little too loud when it came in, and it was unnecessary when it came in. Like, I think he has to work on the arrangement of his melodies, like where certain things come in and when they don't come in. And a thin, and I think he could have changed that sound and maybe gain staged it and tucked it down
it was too
a little.
Loud.
The drums I wasn't super mad at. Like the bounce was there, I think.
The melodies weren't.
Yeah. It wasn't terrible. It had a bounce and it had a direction, but I think he has to just play around with his sound selection and his arrangement.
Yeah, and just to add on that, the melodies sound like they were clashing. Mm-hmm. Like none of them, the sum parts of all those melodies like didn't really make that much sense, and they didn't evoke the emotion, because this type of track, the textures and the tempo kind of, like from the pianos in the beginning, kind of like sets it up for like a storytelling kind of song. And with that kind of thing, those are usually like very melodic, and you want to make sure that like the instruments and the riffs are like in harmony with each other. And they didn't sound like they were in harmony. So I would, keep the drums, trash the melodies, try something new. But yeah, be a crap. But keep submitting more, Anubis. Let's go. All right. Our next submission is by YB. No, Y Complex. Sorry. Here we go. The anime That was produced by Y Complex. I wasn't super mad at it. It wasn't a blap for me, so I'm gonna crap it. But definitely super close. I like the melodies. I like the bounce. Definitely can turn it into a cool song. It's just a few little things in there. I think the main melody, mix wise, it's mostly mixed stuff, but the main melody was like a little too up front, a little too loud. I would tuck that in a little bit. I think the 808 programming could have used a little more movement. And then the 808 Mafia horn. If you're not part of 808 Mafia, you got to stop using that thing. You got if your name isn't Southside or you're not part of 808 Mafia, I would highly recommend not using that sound. That first, what is that? The Kill Bill horn. But outside of that, it was close. It was a good beat. It was definitely has a lot of potential. But there's just those few little things that were irking me. So I'm gonna crap it, but definitely by no means is that like a bad beat.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna crap that. It wasn't a bad beat, and it was very close for me. I think what really kind of made me crap it mostly was the mix. The mix wasn't there for me, and I would change that snare. It wasn't a whack snare.
No, it wasn't whack as fuck.
Yeah, it wasn't whack as fuck. But I would change that snare, and
it was like a typical snare.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And really focus on the mix. That was the biggest thing for me.
Agreed. All right, guys, our last submission for today is by Otto Hans. Here we go. That was Otto Hans. Go ahead, Perfection. What do you think?
I don't know. That was close for me too, but I'm gonna crap it.
That's close.
I did like the melodies, like you said, but the drums did feel small for me. Like they just seemed like they were just too
quiet.
tucked, too quiet, too small. I would like bring those up and change that snare too. It wasn't a bad snare, but it just, I don't know. Maybe
too
just
dry,
because it sounded too dry and too small.
Right.
Maybe, if you gain stage it and boost everything up, it might sound different. But for me, yeah, the drums were it just felt like this big melody and this big, like, kind of like sound. And then the drums were like right here.
Super small, like in the middle, like elevator music type thing. Yeah, I agree with everything Perfection said. Love the melody. I like the bass programming. I think the 808s were too loud. Those could definitely come down, but those drums, try putting sausage fattener on those drums or a decimort or some kind of limiter to bring it up and give those drums a little bit more life, a little bit more bottom end. I wasn't mad at the sound selection of the drums, but they just need to hit a little bit harder. Yeah, they're just like tucked in, maybe even volume. Like turn the 808 down, turn the melody volume down.
Yeah, the melody down too.
Yeah, and then turn the drums up volume-wise, and then throw like a good master on there. I would suggest T-Rax. I love that plugin for mastering. And that could easily be a BLAP, I think, with those right tweaks. But good job, Otto. Send us some more. That was it. Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too
Close.
bad. We're overdue for an entire BLAP or Crap episode.
Yep.
And that's coming soon, guys. So listen, if you want to submit to BLAP or Crap segment on BLAPCHAT, all you have to do is send an MP3 attachment, subject line BLAP or Crap, to info@blapchat.com. And that's
Let's get it.
Episode 96, right, Josh? That's
close
a wrap
to
for today. We're close to 100.
Close.
Shout to all of our listeners. If you've been listening since day one, we really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you guys spreading the word to, talking to your peers, letting people know about the podcast. Again, we're going to continue to just talk about stuff that can help you, stuff that's insightful, inspiring to you guys. And, we're all rooting for every single creative out there, whether you're a producer or a rapper or a singer or just someone who loves this stuff, man. This is the community we're building, and we're here for you. So shout to all of our listeners. Make sure you subscribe, and don't be afraid to hit us up on social media. Comment. All of our social media is at BLAPCHAT, BLAPCHAT. And if you're on SoundCloud, hit that repost button, hit those comments on the bottom, and we'll try to reply to you. Hit our comments on Instagram, tweet us, and everything and anything that you feel like you want us to talk about. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid to hit us up. Shoot us an email. Leave a comment in the comment section and give us some feedback. Let us know what you want to talk about. On that note, I think we're back next week with the crew. So episode 96, that's a wrap. We're out.
Later.
You guys enjoy the weekend, all right?
Later.
1.